Hey guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA. Today we have the honor of being down here at the Matranga Collection, shooting with Chris Brown. Chris Brown is a designer. I gotta be honest, I mean, this is the most exceptional Tri-5 car I've ever seen in my entire life. It started as a 1955 Chevy.
Yeah, it is a 55 Chevy, but every panel, every inch of this car has had something done to it.
Yeah.
Proportionally, one of the things that I wanted to accomplish with this was to get the car set a little bit lower without having to slam it on the ground.
Yeah.
And when you get a 55 down low with a little bit of a rake, the rocker panel gets real close to the ground, but the bumper's way up in the air.
Yeah.
So to cure that, we completely fabricated the front end of the car, took this dimension and just basically dropped that whole section down lower, and then made the front slope down to meet it.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
your bumper's a lot lower to the ground, and you still have
your
a rake.
rocker's still at a drivable height.
Right, right. The grille, this was a 240-pound block of aluminum, and it became a 24-pound block of aluminum.
Wow, really?
Prior to chroming. And then we added the V emblem in the center. Well, there's V's all over the car.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could spend hours just looking for them.
Just
everywhere.
finding the V's on
Yeah. In fact, one of them's in the headlights. It's etched in the center of the
Oh
the
my
headlight
God,
lens.
it sure is.
Obviously, one-off headlight setup. But what we did was we took the trim ring, which is usually like a tin ring, and once you adjust your headlight, you know, it's kind of in on one side, out on the other. The gap's not quite right. Well, we didn't want that ugly gap, so the ring is convex, and the inside of the bezel is concave. So no matter where you adjust it, it's sealed. There's no edge, so it's like an eyeball. The wheels, you'll notice, are pretty special. They're one-offs.
Yeah, they are.
I designed them in SolidWorks and then Evo'd machined them. They did an awesome job on these things.
Stunning, and the colors. I mean,
Yep.
how did you end up working in? It's like a burgundy-ish color, right? On the
Yeah,
trim?
well, that just draws a little bit of the color from the interior to the outside of the car.
It's so crazy. I mean, the colors on this car are exceptional. I mean, to put that next to a blue is a little bit of a risky move.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We picked a dark burgundy because we didn't want the car to go Superman with a bright blue and a bright red, you know.
Right.
When you look at the back of a 55, it's, compared to the rest of the car, it's kind of plain. There's not a whole lot of detail in the back of a 55 Chevy, right?
Yeah.
And the taillights are so iconic, we're not gonna, put like Packard taillights or something weird in it. It's gotta be a 55.
Yes.
So you gotta do something to make this really cool. So you're looking at machined acrylic arches. They're specially shaped to bounce the light through them and then sandblasted on the front side to diffuse it. And they're inside of a 3D printed piece that holds it all together. And then the whole thing
And it still opens for your fuel
opens
filler.
up for the fuel filler.
You've got to be kidding me.
There are V's everywhere, but the one on the door is the only one that's actually functional.
To open the door from the inside,
Just press hard enough, it'll do it.
Here it hit the solenoid.
So I had to design not only what it looked like, but I had to engineer the whole thing to work. So it's a little plate with some switches and all kinds of stuff on it that we had to make work. So that was kind of fun getting into, I mean, the way I used to do everything was I'd draw something, hand it to a machine shop, and they'd make it, and hopefully it worked.
Yeah.
And now, through the use of SolidWorks software, I'm able to build the whole thing and make sure it functions before anybody even machines anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it really helps a lot.
Yeah, sure.
Especially when you're doing something like these seats.
Dude, these seats, you guys I want you guys to sit down right now because you're not going to believe what they started with. Chrysler Sebring seats is what you started
Sebring convertible seats, yeah. We started with the lowly...
one of the ugliest cars ever made by far.
Yeah, and with one of the least attractive seats, too.
Yeah.
But we chose it because he wanted an integrated seat belt. He didn't want it on the pillar, kind of ruining the lines of the interior.
Totally agree.
And we thought that was a kind of a cool innovation anyway. So we took the seat and I looked at it and went, that's so ugly. I can't put that in here. You know, what are we gonna do? So I figured, well, we got to make it work. So I stripped all the foam off and all the ugly plastic junk off of it. Stripped it all down to the bare bones. We had to cut the seat down 2 inches in height because it would have just been too massive for the interior.
Yeah.
And then I built the whole seat frame and all the Chrysler parts in the computer, and then started building everything else around it. So we still have a functioning seat belt, the knob on the side there.
I love that, how it matches your center lock.
Yeah.
And that's functional, right?
That's functional, yeah. You got to sit in the seat to do it, but that twists and then it is your recline. And then there's a button down there, of course, for moving it around. You'll notice there's a pattern of V's, one of the many thousands of V's all over the car. And if you look really closely, you'll see a perforated pattern in there too.
Yeah.
And it's done in a way that makes it look more three-dimensional. I gave the file over to Gabe's Custom Interiors, who did this beautiful upholstery job. They sent it off to a place in Italy, and they CNC stitched and CNC perforated big panels of leather.
The sill plate is, I mean, it's as freakish as the rest of the car.
So it's a stainless sill plate that was polished, and then I had a vinyl mask made with all the little V patterns in it. And then I weeded it all and took little tiny pieces of Scotch-Brite by hand and Scotch-Brited every single one of those triangles. So the grain goes the direction of the triangle to give it a 3D effect.
All right, so let's go over to this steering wheel here. This is...
You like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's... Now these are paddles to, like, you can
Those are
paddle
shift paddles,
this
yeah.
car.
Yeah, so it's...
But it's all, is it integrated into the horn mechanism?
Yes, the shift paddles and the horn, if I took this cover off, you would see that they're attached at the same pivot point.
Yeah.
They work all
Obviously not
independent.
attached together, otherwise
they're not
you'd be
attached
honking your horn nonstop, right?
Yeah, but they're attached to the same pivot point, and then there's a switch in each one of the spokes, one for the horn ring and one for each of the paddles. And then on the back side of this spoke is a little cover, and behind the cover is a transmitter. So there's a receiver under the dash. We used a CompuShift transmitter and then made the rest of it around that. And then the gauges are all classic instruments. They made custom gauges for us. It's got a little V in between the dash cluster there. Yeah. Handmade trim for the dash.
The name of the car is Brute Force. This can't be it can't be a 283 in this car.
Yeah. No, six-cylinder. Six-cylinder,
yeah,
power
even
glide,
better, right? I love it.
You start it up, it sounds like a sewing machine, no big deal.
All right, you guys, stick around for this right now, because just the process of opening the hood, it's actually a process.
Yeah, and it starts in the trunk. Yeah, you might want to check out this trunk anyway. So everything that's on the iPad I can do on my phone. I have the same interface on my phone. So I press the trunk button, pops.
Too cool. Everything's labeled?
Of course, why wouldn't it be? And trunks on show cars nowadays, a lot of times it's just the door panel, a copy of the door panel is the trunk design. So I said, let's do something different. I said, it's a trunk, let's have it be a trunk, but nicer, right? So you have tools that you have to make to do things on the car, like these little wrenches for tightening up the door hinges. We had to, heat up a wrench and bend it. Well, they were kind of neat and we wanted to show them off, so Gabe upholstered it. Put them in here.
You have got to be kidding me.
So we've got the tools that you use to take the wheels off are on that side.
Yeah, because you're going to be on the side of the road somewhere and you're going to probably have to change it. I mean,
Exactly.
Come on. Now, geeky question for you. Are even those things one-off? I mean, it looks like you took a shoehorn and bent it.
This started as an upholstery panel removal tool.
Got it.
And then I reshaped it and then put a little rubber piece on there.
Okay. This is such a freak show in here, dude.
So what you're looking at, it's a 540-inch Merlin block. Somebody doesn't know what a Merlin is.
I was actually just going to ask you, because sorry for all you experts that are going to give me trouble for not knowing this, but I don't know what a Merlin block is.
Okay, well it's basically a racing block, so you'd use it in like a drag car or something like that.
Okay.
So it's the design of it, the engineering of it is very similar to a big block Chevy.
Okay. But
it's not a big block Chevy. And then the heads are Arius heads. Arius makes a hemispherical head that bolts on to that motor. So it's kind of like a hybrid between a Chevy and a Chrysler.
Gotcha.
But doesn't have any of either in it.
Of either,
yeah.
Really?
So you have this 540-inch monster, and then we have two gigantic turbos in there too.
And these are, because when we got here, you were putting these on. Can we pull them off to expose the turbo?
Sure. So
because this is a twin turbo car, you guys. I mean,
and for people who go, that's just show car crap, you got to understand when you're competing for something like Riddler, the judging is different, and the things that they're looking for are a little counter to what you expect in a driver. So when you're competing at this high level, they're looking for unique things, one-off engineered parts, all that kind of stuff, cool designs. So you do silly things like make this beautiful cover for the hot side of the turbo.
Yeah.
That you're probably not going to really drive the car with that on there.
Sure.
So we put these on for the show, and then we take them off.
Just as simple
and there's a
as
blanket
that,
underneath
slips
it.
on.
Yeah. So this side, I don't want to take this cover off, but this side has actually got Cerakote on it. So we've got multiple layers of heat protection. It's got a lizard skin in here, and then this basalt blanket. The air comes in through the inside of the fender. And if you look up in there, there's a beautiful grill and all this stuff that this comes in through. Air comes in through here, goes out the turbo into a duct under the fender, or between the inner and outer fenders, into intercoolers. There's one here and one on the other side, and then it comes out here and into the plenum. You know, we didn't want to bake the paint on the hood, so a la Ferrari, we have a diamond pleated,
Yeah.
you know, insert there.
I was just looking
like a
to see
vintage
if you
Ferrari.
worked more V's in there too.
No. And then all the trim, you know, all the
Which
stuff.
is stunning. This is so, and again, the color choice is just so perfect. All the colors are so
We want
rich on
things
this
to be very
car.
rich, yeah.
Yeah, and they all just flow and blend together though. Nothing's contrasting itself.
Even the oil breathers, yeah, we knurled them, but this is a completely one-off design. So the inside of it has a little brass breather mechanism in there, and the air goes through there. It's got this little ring around here. There's drains in the corners. The ring keeps it from blowing through there. They comes up and out the holes, and out the side. I mean, it's you know, made a complicated path, because the more complicated the path is, the less likely
Harder it is
leak.
for the fluid to come out. What kind of, because you said you did go to dyno, what kind of power do you make with this car?
Well, so that we can actually drive it, we detune the thing. It's capable of easily making 1,400 horsepower at boost. We've actually got it detuned to about 800, just so you can drive it and not have the
Mild, you know,
it's
nice
just,
little quiet
fun.
cruiser. Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to be able to go, yeah, I got 2 million horsepower, but if you can't really use it,
Nah, I
or it
couldn't
makes
agree
the car
more.
so unruly you can't move it around.
Dude, I
then,
couldn't agree more. Couldn't
like,
agree more.
make it so it's fun to drive.
Yep,
Which
totally.
eventually we'll get there.
Yeah.
You notice the Siamese pipe going into the radiator there?
Yeah.
So there's an outlet on both sides of the motor, or coming out of the heads. So we did a 2-into-1 into the radiator. So we started with a Art Morrison chassis. Originally, when he started the project, he wanted to build a really nice driver.
Yeah.
So we got an Art Morrison chassis with a Kugel independent front and rear suspension, and it was all the fancy polished stuff and all that. And then when he decided that he needed to compete for Detroit, we realized we had to change some things. So we took their suspension, we worked very close with Kugels, and changed the aesthetics. So you'll notice when you look under it, all the suspension is the same unobtainium bronze finished, and it's all one-off cool stuff.
You said exhaust is a one-off, full custom exhaust.
Yeah, of course the headers we'd have to, you know, we got to build our own headers,
Sure.
but the exhaust is pretty unique too. We made our own mufflers.
Really?
Well, yeah, why not?
Why not, right?
So
when you've gone this far, why not make your own?
Well,
mufflers?
you look at mufflers out there, and no matter how nice they're made, they usually have, like, where they're welded together, there's like a low spot and there's some dimples and stuff in them. They're not that pretty.
Yeah, for sure.
So we made our own, and the muffler is the same size, I guess you'd say, as the tubing. So it's 3-inch tubing that kind of comes out and around and is welded in between with baffles inside of it. So it's the same height when you look down at where the muffler just kind of bulges out at the sides and comes back in. So it's this sleek, real sleek shape.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then transmission we never got into. Is it? Don't tell me you built your own transmission too.
No, no. That's a 4L80E trans. Obviously, it's been gone through and, you know.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Done up to withstand the horsepower.
Of course.
And everything.
Yeah. What brakes are you running on it?
Well, he started as Wilwood calipers, and then we ground them to our own shape. And then the back of the caliper, which can be seen on the rear ones, there's a cover that covers over the part of the caliper where you can actually see the pads. There's a cover that matches the center of the rear end, and it's got two little tiny V's. So just to pick up the design theme. You know, we spent a whole ton of time doing all these one-off things, and then we got the metal work done, and we took the car over to Mix Paint over in Pomona, and it spent a bunch of time there getting everything perfected.
Yeah.
You know, because you can metal work the daylights out of it, and you still need to get it all perfect.
Sure.
And those guys did a hell of a job making this thing. I mean, it looks like a piece of candy.
Yeah, Mick and his guys are pretty special what they do over there. It's just stellar. It really is. It's.
Thank you.
I'm blown away that we're getting to shoot this. I mean, obviously, I so wish we could go for a drive in it, and obviously we understand. Hopefully, you guys understand why
we'll
we're
get
not,
to that
you
point,
know?
but
yeah, when it, you know, maybe when the time comes after you guys have done the shows and the car's so-called played out, and now it's time to go have some fun with it. Maybe we get to come back at that point.
Yeah,
and
that'd be
maybe
awesome.
shoot the driving part with you guys.
That'd be great.
It'd be something else to feel what this docile little 800 horsepower detuned car feels like. Cool. Well, so the one thing we are going to do for you guys while we're here so we can hear it is we are going to start the car. So we're going to at least start the car and take a listen, you guys.